It's very good evening to you, obvious ministers. Join us live on Zima. It's in News Network. Join us live right now. It's me, Simbachukanza here, beaming to you live, just connecting with you. It's late at night. It's 11 p.m. Just thought I could take a brief catch up with our viewers, brothers, and listeners over the events of today, the events that have been quite riveting and quite nation shaking. What happened in the Sunshine Country and in the eastern city of Mutare today. And people want to know, what is my version of events? What exactly is your interpretation of today's events? I'm going to give you my own expert interpretation of what just happened today, which has been quite a bit of a shocker to many. To some, it hasn't been that much of a shock because some people just say, look, we knew this was going to happen. I mean, that's what some people are saying there. So I'm just going to do a quick sound test quickly. I don't intend to spend more than 10 minutes. Five, by the sixth minute, I'll be rounding down. So do me a quick sound check right now. Let me know. More than 10 minutes. By the sixth minute, I'll be rounding down. So do me a quick sound check right now. Okay, I think my sound is perfect. Okay, so quickly, it's late in the night. So today, the day of days, the moment of moments that the country has been waiting for, the day when Blessed Giza, the war veteran, the anti-corruption activist, announced that something was going to happen or is going to happen in the country in relation to reform. What he said, this is the day when MNANGAGWA is going to be stopped. Now, this was his announcement that he made. He said on Friday, people are going to assemble in the capital city, Harare, and they're going to march to the country's most corrupt accused individuals. So these are the gluttons. And they are going to effect citizens' arrests on these people. He named some of the people. And then he even said on Saturday, Emmerson Mnangagwa is going to be dealt with. He said, look, people are not going to go home until Emmerson Mnangagwa has been dealt with, has been, he mentioned, of course, there is their citizen arrest. And there is a term that he used to describe what type of action, legal action, would be taken on Mnangagwa according to the constitution of the country, Zimbabwe. What Blessed Giza announced earlier in the week has not happened. It did not happen on Friday. A little bit of it did happen. That is, they were crowds, and these were large crowds. Now, contrary to what has been portrayed by daddy characters today, that people did not go, crowds did not go into the capital city, Harare. To the contrary, people actually did go into the capital. There were a lot of people in the capital city, specifically for this demonstration. Now, these people, they did not follow the specific description that Blessed Giza had issued earlier on, for reasons that I don't want to state here, but it is very clear to those who were in the capital city that there was a large, very large crowd response to Blessed Giza's anti-corruption call. If you're here on the stream, I know it's very late here, so the numbers are going to rise later on, and some people are going to watch it later. If you were there in the capital city and you dispute what I've just said, please type it in the comment box and tell us what you find to be non-factual. Now, I was just having a drink there. Now, quickly, what happened then was that a lot of people got arrested, and a lot of the people, if not all the people that got arrested, a lot of them are even announced they were not demonstrators. but they were arrested on allegations of attending this demonstration or being part of this Blessed Giza demonstration. There are only two people that I could say I could almost just recognize that they actually part. But my point is, at the end of the day, there were a lot of people, and those people, they outnumber by a huge figure, the 10 or 11 or so people that were seen on video. I'm talking about the real people. If I was in law enforcement, I would say, look, I failed. I mean, the people in law enforcement, they actually failed, because there were a lot of people in the capital city who responded to this call. It was a very popular call. However, the method of attending to the demonstration was logically, and as would be with Zimbabwean culture, not in sync with Blessed Giza's announcement. Culturally, Zimbabwean since 2007, so we're talking nearly 20 years of history, they have held a culture of not following the statement that has been made by the announcers or by the organizers of demonstration. They don't, and they do it strategically. So if you say we're going to meet at Unity Square, they'll meet somewhere else. They'll go somewhere else. They might even go to a totally different town, a town like Marondia, a town like Norton, right? And they do it deliberately. This is deeply embedded in the culture of Zimbabweans. It is not one of non heeding or non-compliance or conformity to the call for a demonstration. Now, coming on to this, what has then happened now on Friday? A few people got arrested. On Saturday today, Resolution 1 at the ZANU-PF conference in Mutare has been passed by Emmerson Mnangagwa's leadership, and it has been instructed by the party that it must now be adopted even as national statute. So it must be put into government programs. It must become legal. It must be something that will be penned down as law. So the amending of the Constitution is now going to go to law going to become law according to the instructions that were made today. Right, so quickly, folks. I apologize that I'm talking. Right, so apologies as I'm talking that I'm also drinking. Okay, so quickly. Now, as we proceed, hi, Colin Guature. There are over 152 people on our broadcast here total. I can see 70 on Facebook and on other platforms, Twitter as well. So quickly, this is what has happened. Now, when this was done, when this was announced, there is some verbalization that Constantino Chiwenga made. There is some communication that he made without speaking. Now, part of this was to hand over the certificate that was given to him of attendance. He just chucked it away. As soon as it was handed to him, he chucked it away. Constantino Chiwenga also did not smile. There were facial expressions that he threw out that could only be arguably read as disgust, repudiation for the adoption of Resolution 1. Constantino Chiwenga also did not clap hands and did not vocalize the adoption of the agenda to change the Constitution. How many people saw that? Now, that was a live video, folks. If you're there and you didn't see it, please let us know. As I'm speaking right now, I'm also on Twitter Space. So anyone here who feels what I've said here is not factual, click the microphone button and talk to me and tell me where I might have made mistakes. There is a method that Constantino Chiwenga uses, and that method is different from the one that Simba Chikanza would use, for instance. I mean, if I was there, I was going to lift my hands when Opami Chinguri, the chairperson of ZANU-PF, announced that anyone who objects to the adoption of Resolution 1, which dictates or calls for the extension of Emerson Mnangagwa's presidency beyond 2028, when that happened, one would have expected Constantino Chiwenga to have lifted his hands, or at least his people to have lifted their hands. Now, it was great disappointment with his supporters, and a lot of people, even online, they commented, particularly online, they commented that that was a missed opportunity. If it was Simba Chikanza, I mean, people know how Simba Chikanza handles these things. Simba Chikanza inside Zimbabwe, but a lot of people have not seen Simba Chikanza inside Zimbabwe doing this, because I guess the generations have passed. I mean, they've changed. Simba Chikanza happens to be the only young man in 2003 who discouraged and single-handedly stopped ZIMRA, the tax authority, from taxing insurance companies at Jameson Hotel. That was in 2003. And you know, the many times when Simba Chikanza has conducted himself with regards to confronting the authorities for answers, but also putting these men in authority in check. And these have been unique. Simba Chikanza happens to be the only, perhaps if not the only one, to confront the Mnangagwa administration in a way that is at the level of Peter, what is his name? Peter Tatchell? How many remember Peter Tatchell, the gay activists who confronted Mugabe and for a citizen arrest? How many people remember that? Simba Chikanza is the only one who's done that physically, confronted the president himself, confronted the speaker, even his speaker of parliament, Jacob Mudenda, on video for answers, and in a way seeking not just answers but also justice for tortured activists in the civil society, and did it successfully and secured the country's first ever war crimes prosecution indictment. War crimes, we're talking International Criminal Court level war crimes indictment on a Speaker of Parliament. Physically did it in front of bodyguards. I mean, I've done many of these things. I did it on Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa ran away from me physically in Glasgow in 2021. He ran away and hid in a hotel. And he phoned Shepherd Yuda begging for permission to go out and drink beer. That's the level of a different way of dealing with the regime that Simba Chikanza would do. So if Simba Chikanza was at the level of Constantino Chiwenga, that is what he was going to do. I could show you so many things here. Simba Chikanza was the only one in the Al Jazeera team, the Al Jazeera staff, who physically confronted the gold mafia, two gold mafias, beginning with Kamlesh Patni, October 2018, when he was running that investigation alone at that time. And then later on, it was Harry Kalaba on 23 August 2023 in Lusaka. And also even Hubert Angel. And so, you know, we all have different ways of doing things. Simba Chikanza has his own way of doing things, okay? He's not Constantino Chiwenga. So I guess in this particular scenario, someone like Simba Chikanza would be upset, would not be happy with the way that Constantino Chiwenga conducted himself today. Simba Chikanza would feel that, look, Constantino Chiwenga has messed up. He has missed the one of the biggest opportunities of all time. Right, apologies. Hold on here. I'm just going to put my battery. I apologize. There was one on video. Just be patient with me over there. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So that is how so much you can do with handle. I mean, if I was there in Mutare, I was going to confront. I was going to ask answers. I was going to confront. I've done it. How many times have I done it? Many times. It's my way of doing things, okay? It's not Constantino's ways of doing things. It's my own way. And when I do it that way. And so I would definitely be upset that, look, Constantino Chiwenga has wasted an opportunity here. He has wasted. I could have done it. Maybe it's been sold out. I would also not be happy with Constantino Chiwenga's wife, Minnie Baloy. I feel that Minnie Baloy is not playing a role as a wife. She's spending too much time on social media, on Facebook, looking pretty on Facebook. I know definitely that if Mary Chiwenga was still around, Constantino Chiwenga would not have behaved the way he has behaved today, because I know Mary Chiwenga is not a no-nonsense woman. And I know definitely that is why she was targeted by MNANGAGWA. I know definitely that's why MNANGAGWA cooked a lot of falsehoods against her. I've seen it with my own eyes, and confused Constantino Chiwenga so that he would go against Mary. I know that the reason was because after the coup, Mary Chiwenga was the most powerful woman in Zimbabwe, and she remained the most powerful woman in Zimbabwe. After Grace Mugabe, she remained until she was bombed at White City 7 months later on 23 June 2018. The entire plot of bombing her and poisoning her was so that she would eventually be falsely accused. And when Constantino Chiwenga spends the next few years fighting and trying to destroy the mother of his own kids, Constantino Chiwenga would go weak. He would get weak. While Mnangagwa is amassing money, is amassing gold, diamond wealth, and all sorts, and amassing power. And like Kudata Gure said, wealth is army, wealth is power. Yeah, if you miss the opportunity, you spend time destroying your own wife or the mother of your child, you're going to miss the opportunity to amass wealth, because if you don't have wealth, who do you command? Soldiers need to be paid, security need to be paid. Right, investigators need to be paid. If you're poisoned, for instance, right, you need investigators who can investigate who was here, who do I see on this CCTV, who do I see there? You see, and so if you don't have money, you're going to believe lies, you're going to believe falsehoods, you're going to believe whatever tells you it's your wife who did it, or it's your relative, or it's your uncle somewhere, or it's someone else who sent a witch, right, who tried to bewitch you. Why? Because you don't have money. And so that is what Tagire and Mnangagwa have done. They have spent these last few years, last 7 years, amassing wealth so that they can. And this is is a big weakness on Constantino Chiwenga's part. And I've said it privately to him. And now I'm having to say it publicly because people should know. Yeah, he is someone who needs to up his game there. He was played, his mind was played, so that he would get confused and then eventually become weaker. So this is what has happened to Constantino Chiwenga. I don't think that if Constantino Chiwenga was still with Mary, any of this nonsense would have been happening. I know Mary. I've interviewed Mary. I've gone against Mary even when she was powerful. I know that definitely in 2017, 2018. The most powerful woman in Zimbabwe was not Auxilia. The most powerful person in Zimbabwe was not Emerson. It was Mary Chiwenga. And that's why she was bombed at White City. So I know definitely if Mary Chiwenga was there, she would not have been spending time posting pretty pictures on Facebook and Twitter and looking nicey nicey and looking, oh, great, Magunansi type of a woman, oh, this and that, like the way this particular one does, busy liking pictures of yourself, licking pictures that people send you in cartoons, and you're calling yourself, I'm the wife of the vice president. Wife of the vice president, when your husband is being humiliated like this. What type of a wife are you? What type of a wife are you? Who would do that? What type of a wife would be content to see their husband, an army general, treated like this and not advise their husband properly and not stand for their husband? No way. There's some things here that are just straight black and white that people just don't get. And sometimes people just don't want to get. It's a fact. An army general's wife doesn't spend time on social media, especially when their husband is treated like a piece of nonsense like this. No. So I believe that Constantino Chiwenga remains the most powerful person in the country, even right now. But the people around Constantino Chiwenga are not helping him. They're not helping him. I've seen Emerson Mnangagwa. I've never seen any politician in the world who is as timid, who is as fearful as Emerson Mnangagwa and Auxilia. Show me one. I've confronted these two physically. They've run away from me. There are my videos over there. Confronting Mnangagwa, confronting Auxilia. At one time, Auxilia phoning me on video and pleading with me. Every minute, she would plead 2 times. Don't curse me, Simba. Don't curse me, Chikanza. You're always cursing me. You always want to curse me. I've never seen anyone as timid. So there is no reason. It doesn't make sense for Constantino Chiwenga to be fearful of Mnangagwa. No way. Something must be wrong somewhere. And I believe there are people around Constantino who are not helping him. Because right now, he is powerful. How can a whole general who removed Mugabe fail to lift his own hand? How can he be afraid of Mnangagwa? When people from Chamisa's party, they lift their hands. Am I wrong, folks? No, I'm going to say it here. If you want me to say it in East India, do you disagree that people in Nelson Chamisa's party would lift their hands in Mutare? Nelson Chamisa's people would have lifted their hands. Someone is there saying, is this Simba talking? Yes, it's Simba Chikanza who's speaking. I'm saying if the conference in Mutare had Nelson Chamisa or his people, they would have spoken out loud. They would have refused Resolution 1. Do you deny? And you tell me that it is normal for a military general not to lift his hand or his people not to lift their hands, afraid of a little Rhodesian ex-mercenary called Emerson. You tell me that is normal. No way. You tell me that is normal for huh? For Constantino Chiwenga to be afraid of questioning Mnangagwa's powers. No way. There's something somewhere that is wrong, and that needs to be investigated. There must be people around there, around Chiwenga, who are like this. Now, one person that I know definitely is around Chiwenga right now, cooking narratives, is this male who we see here called Hopewell Chono, a dangerous, dishonest character using journalism to confuse the people and even confuse Chiwenga himself. I say this right now from my legal responsibility to warn the people about Hopewell Chono. He is a dangerous character who's been generating algorithms. Not today, he's been doing it for a long time. He's been doing it for 14 years. Cooking, cooking algorithms. Now, those who know mathematics and who know a little bit about communication and computer science would know what algorithms are. This fella is one of those people who spends time generating algorithms. I'm going to show you one example here of an algorithm. I've posted it there. It's a tweet that he posted today that he said that Scott Sekupanya, he said, after Scott Sekupanya was labeled Chigananda, this is what happened today at Rufaro Stadium where his team was playing. Now compare that with yesterday when Blessed Geza called on Zimbabweans to come into the streets. The contrast is clear in the numbers. What do you read there? He is comparing an anti-corruption activist with a gold mafia implicated person called Scott Sekopanya. Why? That is an algorithm. It's an algorithm that is feeding into the psyche of citizens so that they believe that a mafia called Scott Sekopanya is at the level of Blessed Geza, who is fighting for corruption. That's what it is. It's a fact. Can you see it? Can you see the few lines? Many times, a lot of people have not understood Hopewell Chingono because he writes, sometimes he writes extremely voluminous content and then people get confused. But when you just read basics, look at this tweet here. It shows you what he's trying to cook into the psyche of the masses is a belief that Scott Sekopanya is a normal human being who is just at the level of Blessed Geza. And Scott Sekupanya has actually achieved something. But when you look at the pictures that he's posted there, people who is saying attended Scott Sekupanya's function actually did that because of football, not because of Scott Sekupanya. One of the most detested individuals in the country. A lot of people don't like him. Even at the football pitches, they sing against him, denouncing him. Who doesn't know that? But what he's done, he has shot this algorithm into the social media waves. And as people feed on it, eventually they will start to believe that the Ziganandas, the gluttons, the corrupt people have actually won. That is eventually what happens, and it's exactly what this Hopo Chingono character did on Chamisa. That's why today a lot of people have started believing that Chamisa has failed, Chamisa is gone, Chamisa is corrupt, Chamisa is just like Scott Sakupanya. This is what he has made people to believe. He's done it on Chamisa. Now he's jumping from Chamisa onto Blessed Geza. His agenda is to smear and soil credible anti corruption activists so that he can become their king and he will have destroyed them. And then he postures as their replacement. What a dangerous man. And he's not just like this, he's also dangerous in the things that he does. We're talking here leading youths into doing money laundering, even instructing youths into doing some damning things like what he did in 2024 alone, instructing two citizens to to breach two British airports in the UK in 2024 alone. One was caught at Heathrow Airport, caught in the act. Another one was also caught in August trying to delete her other name that she changed when Hopewell Chono also changed his own name. Listen, there is no one as deceitful, no one as 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 determined to spoil the integrity of citizens at present that we've seen, that we've found more than Hopewell Chono in the entire continent of Africa, from Cape to Cairo. We are sending you, issuing this warning pursuant to the Data Protection Act of the United Kingdom, of the US, and other countries, and other safeguarding related laws of these countries that we serve. Hopo Chingono is a danger to society, and this is an example that when people are feeding on his content and they're thinking they're feeding journalism or they're feeding news, he is spoiling them. He is perverting their characters and destroying the civil society in the same way that he instructed, gave advice to the Ministry of Defense to hunt down activists. This man is so busy. That is what he does. He's one of those people who will just be loitering on social media and in the news spaces just to spoil citizens. You know, a few weeks ago, he was trying to confuse Zambian citizens until I ended up having to go to court over it, over him in South Africa. Stop him, because he was now trying to destroy the civil society of Zambia the same way that he's done Zimbabwe and Mozambique, and him and a fake lawyer called Talent Chiwenga, Talent Rusere. So these are the people that people like Constantino Chiwenga, Blessed Giza, need to be aware of. They feed false narratives. There was a time in March 28, it was March 28, on the 28th of March this year, in this same character, when the first demonstration was called for, he published content that got over 94 people arrested. He falsified that soldiers had stolen guns and deserted the army on 28 March this year. He also published that there were bombings at Kudata Guire's property and Wikno Chivayo and Scott Sekopanya, and made these posts extremely damning posts that he made that got 94 people arrested. Then he also falsified that Chris Muchanga had fled to Dubai. That is what he did. As a result, people became confused, and Constantino Chiwenga was smeared. After that, what was hoped was going to happen on 31 March failed because of this man called Hopewell Chono and a few of his other mafia colleagues. And we issue this as a legal duty. We have to protect the society of Zimbabwe, society of the United Kingdom, and other countries. Wherever you are, you can also play a duty to protect your children. If you've got kids, daughters, if you've got a wife, you need to also protect your daughter, your wife from this man who is also a daddy character. You know, on so many fronts, 3, 4, 5, 6 different fronts. Oporo Gochmono is a danger. It's been proven to be a danger to society. And we have to warn people, particularly about data protection, because he uses journalism as a front to spy on citizens. We have multiple evidence of data being breached by this man. Protect yourselves, protect your country, protect your families, protect your community, protect yourself. Okay, but quickly, I'm coming to this now. What Constantino Chiwenga is suffering from, I think, at present, is just being misled by a few people around him. I do not think that he has lost this battle. I think all the Constantino Chiwenga needs to sharpen his intel, his intelligence, and make quality decisions. Decisions that are in line with restoring the rule of law. I'm not doing anything criminal, by the way. I'm not advocating that. But people know me when I say restoring the rule of law, what I mean. It's better than I go. I'm back now. Sorry, I apologize. I'm back on the broadcast now. Okay. I'm hoping people can hear me now. So I do not see Constantino Chiwenga losing this, even though I would say a lot of people are disappointed with the slowness and how he has handled the resolution. I would want to believe that there are things that he's going to do anytime soon that are decisive and that will forge the civil society in the right direction. There are powers that I see he still has. And it's not for me to talk about what those powers are. It's not wise to just discuss these things, particularly in the spaces. And the powers that we're talking about here, these are powers that are there according to the Constitution of Zimbabwe. So people, you know what powers I'm talking about, right? Right, so I'm going to need to be shutting shortly. But folks, what I was just saying, because I said I was going to do this for 10 minutes. I've never seen anyone as fearful as Emerson MNANGAGWA. I've listened to me, I've talked with MNANGAGWA before. I know him, and I do not think that Constantino Chiwenga can fail to handle MNANGAGWA, because he is a well-known, extremely timid person. His only challenge is he needs people who have got a higher level of intel and focus and strategy. Only chete. Folks, I'm going to need to end. I'm hoping that I've given people a little bit of a tweak, some tips on my analysis. Tonight, I'm going to be shutting just now, and tomorrow morning, I will be back. Thank you.
And remember, we had an assassination against the president at White City Stadium. The grenade hit a rope, and he was saved. This job was inside. It is people from inside who are doing it. It is the same quarters which have been championing a loose cannon war veteran. I know, guess.
We want to state here and now that the history of our revolution cannot be rewritten by those who have not been part of it. Having said that, we strongly urge the party, one, to stop reckless utterances by politicians from the ruling party, denigrating the military, which is causing alarm and despondence within the rank and file. Two, the current paging of which is clearly targeting members of the party with a liberation background must stop forthwith. The known counter-revolutionary elements who have fomented the current instability in the party must be exposed and fished out. As the party goes, therefore, we want to state here and now that the history of our revolution cannot be rewritten by those who have not been part of it. Having said that, we strongly urge the party, one, to stop reckless utterances by politicians from the ruling party, denigrating the military, which is causing alarm and despondence within the rank and file. Two, the current paging of which is clearly targeting members of the party with a liberation background must stop forthwith. The known counter-revolutionary elements who have fomented the current instability in the party must be exposed and fished out. As the party goes, we want to state here and now that the history of our revolution cannot be rewritten by those who have not been part of it. Having said that, we strongly urge the party, one, to stop reckless utterances by politicians from the ruling party, denigrating the military, which is causing alarm and despondence within the rank and file. Two, the current paging of which is clearly targeting members of the party with a liberation background must stop forthwith.
So that's one other thing. We are working on our identity. We are not trained to be this ugly people that the whole nation now thinks that we are. Wanted people who could support his personality cult. Who's the comrade one of Mutare that in government in 1980? I can train my sister. Even though I could watch on one of my and I'm saying,
MNANGAGWA is one of them.
According to the history and Senate, Babuscom Jera, one of food to kill but Bakashputanga law and it. Right a law, Bakas talk of Salam with some watching of that. When the war finished, Bobakano Pin Sao, Comet Mutare. Vanokava started from Mugaka declaration, Chitungamino Paundo. I can't get paid for 10 was to Akazana Gamma Toxinanachi, but function as Singapore. You know, we do not end up telling the truth, but I think the youth deserves to know the truth.
Yeah, Takataza, who are a majority of the tongue, and Takarabatibu. A doctor of Bamtas, the Andiri election agent, definitely.
The people blood. The evil people are part of Flower. The evil people must come from elsewhere. The people of Flower were so happy to see me, and I was so happy to see them.
So you're not pointing fingers?
No. The people of Flower, no, I love them. They love me.
Who could be behind this nefariousness?
People outside Flower. Outside Flower, I can assure you. These are my normal enemies. And the attempts have been so many. This is not the first attempt on my life. It doesn't, to me, it's normal. I've been used to these attempts. 6 times my office was broken in. Cyanide was put on my offices to threaten me so many times. So, I'll continue. The people blood. The evil people are part of Flower. The evil people must come from elsewhere. The people of Flower were so happy to see me, and I was so
responding figures?
No, the people of Blair, no, they love them, they love me.
Who could be behind this nefarious?
People outside Blair, I can assure you, these are my normal enemies. And the attempts have been so many. This is not the first attempt in my life. It doesn't, to me, it's normal. I've been used to these attempts. So 6 times my officers broken in. Cyanide was put on my officers to threaten me so many times. So I'll continue. I'll continue.
And remember, we had an assassination against the president at White Stadium. Flag, the grenade hit a rope, and he was saved. This job was inside. It is people from inside who are doing it. It is the same quarters which have been championing a loose cannon war veteran